guys, it's Brittany here, and let's have a really important conversation about adulting and what you need to be focusing on before you get married and have children. Now, this is a conversation that I wish someone would have had with me in my early 20s when I was just so pressed to get married and have a baby, y'all. Like, I was listening to all of the YouTube videos. I'm reading all of the singleness books, how to be a wife, how to attract your Boaz. I'm going to all the church conferences. I am literally low-key being such a pick-me behind closed doors because I just wanted a man. And not just a man, because I was so over the boyfriend-girlfriend stage. I just wanted a husband really, really bad. And now that I look back and I look at my life and how fast everything happened for me, I was just wasting so much time when there was so much that I needed to get done. There was so much that none of my elders or the mentors in my life, the mothers in my life, so many of the wives that I connected to were not sharing with me. So I am making this video now so you don't have any excuses. So let's get started. Number one. The number one thing that you are going to lose once you become a wife or a mother, because you guys are going to learn my story in a little bit, is time. You are going to run out of so much time. And I mean, just think about it. Once you get married, now you have a whole other family to prioritize. And then you have your husband's friends and his co-workers and his career and his hobbies and his college friends and his schedule and his sports. And if you do get pregnant, then you have your children, and there's going to be so much time that you lose because not only are you including someone else, but you're also including their family and their friends. Guys, every single weekend I feel like, being transparent, I feel like we have a birthday party to go to. We have a graduation to go to. We have an engagement party. We have a wedding. We have a funeral. We have events from work. Example, this is my life, guys. Back in the day, I used to be able to just record videos whenever I want, whenever I felt like it, whenever I was cute, and it was just silent. I don't get silence anymore. I don't get silence anymore, okay? Number two, you are going to lose your independence. And this was very, very, very hard for me to accept, hard for me to embrace, hard for me to appreciate, hard for me to understand when I became a mother. I can't just book a flight and go. I can't just run to Target on the fly. I can't just hang out with my girlfriends and it become a 2-3 day turn up event. I can't just go out and network and meet people because I'm a wife. There's a level of respect and there's a level of poise, and it's the way I do things because, you know, when you're a wife, you're not only representing yourself, but you're representing your partner. And so there's a lot of things I have to think about before I do it, before I say it, before I book it, before I plan it, before I decide to take on more responsibilities. I have to check in with my partner and I have to keep my child in mind, right? So when I say you lose a lot of independence, everything that I decide, everything I choose to do affects my child and my husband. It affects their schedule. It affects our family time, our bonding time. Like, when I'm thinking about more tasks to take on, I have to think about my husband's schedule, how we're going to maneuver that, right? We're a team, so we always get it done. I don't think I've ever had to decline an opportunity, but I've always had to schedule and plan ahead, especially when it comes to my son, because, you know, am I going to miss bath time just to go have lemon drops with my girlfriends? Even if I'm out late, I have to keep in mind that my husband has work in the morning, so I have to be home at a certain time. That way our son always has a parent, obviously, in the house. And then us just scheduling our weekends accordingly. I'm a part of Ladies Who Golf. I'm an ambassador for Ladies Who Golf, but my husband also plays, like, basically semi-professional golf, I guess you could say. And I am always doing charity events. I'm always going to networking events and YouTube events and content creator seminars. I mean, we live in Atlanta. There's always things to do, and we just always have to plan our weekends ahead, making sure we have a babysitter, making sure we can drop the baby off somewhere. But then it's really important to me, because I'm a mom, that we also plan that family time where I always want to make sure me and my husband come together and we always lock in with each other. So making sure we're scheduling date nights, but also making sure that we have time outside of each other with our friends or just our own hobbies, doing our own things. I mean, it's a lot, but you have to plan accordingly, okay? Now, if I could go back, I wrote down a list that I wanted to share with you guys that I would have done a lot differently. I would have prioritized a lot more. There is so much time that I spent, now that I look back on my early 20s, dating, going on dates, being heartbroken, being depressed, hanging out with my homegirls. And if I could go back, I would have done things a lot differently. And I know a lot of people like to say that they don't live in regret. I actually have, I don't want to say I have a lot of regret, but girl, I have a lot of regret. There's a lot of things that I could have been doing, and I could have listened to my mom a lot more when it came to this, because some of the things on this list, my mom used to emphasize so much. And history actually repeated itself. So my mom had my brother when I was 25. I had my son at 25. My mom was married at 25. I got married at 25. And so I think a lot of the advice she would give me was literally from experience that I just had to learn the hard way. So number one, if I could go back, I would 100% guaranteed would have prioritized school a lot more. You know, I'm 28. I just finished my MBA. I now have 2 degrees. But if I would have locked in at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, even 23, I would have finished both degrees by 23, let's say even 24. Even if I finished at 25, I should have finished my MBA at 25. That way, in my mid-20s, I would have been focusing more on my career. My only responsibility would have been either climbing up the corporate ladder or focusing on my business, networking in the city, building my brand, more so with internships. I would have been way more ahead as far as like salary wise on the corporate ladder. And my only responsibility when I met my husband just would have been making money, getting money, right? Switching jobs, focusing on my career. But instead, I was so overwhelmed because I met my husband. He was already in his career. He was already independent. He was already locked in. He already had his shit together. And I was still hustling, right? I was still working really hard in school. I got pregnant. I got married. We bought a house, and I was still switching jobs, trying to quickly climb up that corporate ladder and jump the different tax brackets while I was still in school. So if I could do it all over again, I would have prioritized school in the very beginning, knock that out. That way my husband and I could have been on like the same timeline, the same type of playing field, and I wouldn't have felt like I was playing catch up so much. But nonetheless, I finished and I'm proud of myself. But that is something that if I could go back, I would have done differently. Number 2, and this is a little controversial, but I am going to raise my children like this. I know in a lot of other cultures, they prioritize this. If I could go back at 21 years old, once I decided and believed for myself that I wanted to be a wife and a mother one day, I would have absolutely started saving for my dream wedding and my future home. Hear me out. When my husband and I decided to get married, you guys know we got married privately. We bought our first home, and then we had our wedding a year later. No one helped us for that wedding. No one helped us for our first house. And if I could have done it all over again, knowing that I want to be married one day, right? And knowing that I want to be a mom one day, that I want to be a homeowner one day, I wish I would have just started saving, even if it was just $65 each paycheck, $100 each paycheck. If I would have started prioritizing saving for the future. Whether you want to tell yourself it's for your dream wedding, it's for your dream honeymoon, it's for you to stay home for the first year when you have your baby, if it's for, you know, your wedding reception, your dream dress, like whatever. I wish I would have started prioritizing that a lot more, because if I would have known back then that I would have met my husband at 23, 24. I think I met him at 23. I can't remember if I was 23 or 24, but if I would have known that I would have met my husband and a year later we would have got married, had a baby, bought a house, I would have been on bed rest, I would have had preeclampsia, I would have been home, I would have lost my job. I mean, everything that had happened in the beginning, I would have prioritized my savings. I would have prioritized my credit. I would have really stacked my money that way when it was time to buy my husband's wedding ring, right? And thank God I was able to get him a diamond studded all gold wedding ring that I absolutely love. And we had the wedding of our dreams. That was about $40,000. We bought our house. That was about $10,000 down, and then I had $10,000 to furnish it. But it just required so much sacrifice and so much hustle. And that whole year, I think the first 2 years of our marriage is just a blur, because I was just so focused on getting money. If I could do it all over again, I would have been saving for my big day when I was young. That way, when the opportunity came, I had no stress, I had no worries. You know, when I ended up getting preeclampsia, having to have an emergency C-section, losing my job. I mean, there was so much that happened that was fully out of my control. I would have been more prepared. I would have had at least, a year, 2 years worth of expenses saved up. You know, it would have been less of a hassle to buy our first house. We would have been able to have our dream honeymoon. I mean, there's just so much that I think about now, because this is the thing. We hope for a wedding and we hope for a man and we pray and we always dream about our dream wedding and our dream house and the type of mother we want to be. But I don't think as women, we financially prepare for these things as much as we should. And I think we always pray for a successful man that can handle it. But what happens if your husband gets hurt, if he loses his job, if he just buys you a house, but now you want this dream wedding, if he's short a few $1,000. I mean, so many scenarios can happen that I think I'm going to teach my children. Okay, if you want to be married one day, start saving after like 21, 22, 23. Start putting a little aside, so when you do meet the one, you're fully prepared, you have it fully covered, and you can go all out because you've been saving for a long time for this day. And let's just say the day never comes, right? Now you have what, $10, $20, $30,000 sitting there that you can splurge, you can travel the world, you can invest. I mean, you can do whatever you want because you have been saving since your early 20s. Okay, third thing, if I could go back, I would have stepped outside. Oh, how do I want to word this? Okay, my third regret is that I didn't join new circles sooner. So when I met my husband, he was such, and I don't care what nobody say, he was such a high value man. And his friends proved that, right? His friends showed me that. Like when I was meeting his circle of friends, everybody was educated, everybody had stability, everybody had their head on straight, everybody was in their zone of genius, everybody had their thing, everybody was working hard, everybody was hustling. I mean, such great people, both the women and the men. And a lot of his circle now is like our family. Like we created our family around our close friends. And so when I looked at my friends, a lot of them were college dropouts. They didn't know where they were going in life. They didn't know who they wanted to be, what they wanted to be, what the next year looked like for them. They weren't really planners. They didn't really have good habits. None of my homegirls were very stable. Everybody was kind of just still in this party phase. Nobody was really taking life too serious. And once I met my husband, he actually really inspired me and motivated me to go out there and meet more mature, stable, driven women. And now I love my circle of friends. I'm so proud of who my friends are, but I will say that's so important when you guys are dating. So a lot of times you may be the one in your friend group who is ambitious, you're driven, you have your head on straight, you know where you're going in life, you know who you are, you're confident, you're very clear on what you're good at. You know, you're already in your industry, and that's a blessing. But what about the ones closest to you? Because these are going to be the people that the person you're dating is going to judge you based off of, like, oh, okay, this is your day one, this is your right hand, this is your best friend, this is going to be my child's future aunties, this is going to be your maid of honor, these girls are going to be your bridesmaids. And I just want to make sure that you're proud of who they are. Now, don't get me wrong, because this can go left. It's not the fact that you want to stop being friends with these people, but it is the fact that you want to make sure you are around like-minded people and you guys are all entering in a new season and everybody's kind of on the same page and going the same way. The reason why I say that is because once I got married and we started spending more time with people who are kind of going where we were going, I lost so many friends, and that grieving all of my closest friends, because there was just no movement, there was no direction, there was no... Guys, I had 15 bridesmaids, and out of the 15 bridesmaids, I'm probably still very close to about 6. And that's because those 6 are who I was truly proud of. They were trying, they were working hard, they were reinventing themselves, they were figuring it out, but they were just putting in the work. The others were just very stagnant, very comfortable, always making excuses, always about to do something. They had no accountability. They didn't allow themselves to just take risk. And where I was headed in life as a new wife and now a new mom, I knew that I didn't want these type of women to lead my son, to project on my son. And if I had a daughter, it would have been even worse. I looked at my circle of friends and I truly had to ask myself, are these the people you want your child to be inspired by and you want your child to be like? And if the answer was absolutely not, I just had to slowly start separating myself. And now when I look at my husband's group of friends, my group of friends, I can say that takes a lot of intention and that takes a lot of effort. Again, I'm an ambassador for Ladies Who Golf, so now I'm a part of a network of highly educated, hardworking young professionals. And it's not about where you work and where you went to school. It's all about the risk you're willing to take and how much you're willing to bet on yourself. That's it. And so now I'm just really proud of my friend group. I'm really proud of who my child calls auntie. When I look at all my friends, I mean, they rub off of me so much, and I'm very proud to say that. So now I'm not the smartest in the room, I'm not the most hardworking, I'm not the most driven, but my friends rub off of me, and it shows in amazing ways. And I just want to make sure when you guys are dating, literally take a look at your friends, because it's going to tell a lot about where you are in life, what you talk about, and how you're perceived. Okay, next regrets. If I could go back, I wish I would have spent a little more time on hobbies. You know, I think when I look back, all of my identity was wrapped up in how much money I made and what I did for work. And now I am an ambassador for Ladies Who Golf. I'm a content creator. I absolutely love creating content. I'm really into right now learning more Spanish since I am Latina. Now I love traveling, and I'm back in the gym. I'm a Pilates hottie. I mean, there's a lot to me. I'm reading again, well, listening on Audible. But now if I'm able to date now, like if I wasn't married and I was dating right now, I had so much more to talk about. We can talk about the latest books I'm reading, the stocks I'm investing in, Pilates, golf. You know, we can talk about so much stuff because I'm way more well-rounded. Back then, the only thing I had to talk about was work. And for a man who's looking for a woman who makes money, who's on the same level or in the same tax bracket, that was attractive. But for a man who just wants to turned off work mode and just wants to get to know someone and just wants their personality to shine, I don't think I would be a good candidate back then, because I didn't have shit to talk about outside of what I did for a living and how was work that day. So if you are still single and you have the time, start investing in different hobbies. Start becoming more well-rounded. Start seeing what else you can do just for fun, not to make money, not as a side hustle, not as a brand, a gimmick, social media clout. Something that's just quirky and random and fun that you can do, that you enjoy doing, that has nothing to do with monetary gain. The next regret, I wish I would have spent more time developing my weaknesses, going into therapy, and really getting my family dynamics situated. So I don't really have a lot of trauma, thank God. But for the things that I knew I just wasn't good at, like my anger management, my communication skills, blacking out and getting drunk, like there's just certain things that I wish I would have took the time to really cultivate and work on back then. That way, when my husband met me, he didn't have to deal with my flaws, or I guess so many of my flaws in the very beginning. So you'll be surprised how many men you run away, or how many men just won't take it there to that next level because they see these red flags, or they just see a few flaws that they know they don't want to deal with for the rest of their lives. And so if you guys start being a little more accountable, you take a self-assessment of yourself and you decide, okay, let me work on these things, let me get this figured out, let me get this situated, especially those of you who have like daddy issues, you're not close with your mom, you're really disrespectful with your siblings, you know, your siblings don't like you, they talk bad about you, because this is what's going to happen. You're going to meet a man and he's going to wonder why you're not close with your siblings, why you talk to your mom that way, you know, what type of daddy issues is he dealing with, without talking to you about it. And when he meets another candidate, they seem like less work, right? Less hassle, less stress. And you may actually be the one, but because you have all this going on, he just may not even feel like it, especially if he's a hardworking man. It's just too much work to deal with you. And he may settle for the other candidate. And before you're watching this video and you say, oh, then he's not my husband and he's just not the one for me, this is the third thing. You guys have to seriously enhance anything you're insecure about and stop assuming or expecting a man to take you for how you are. And this is why I say this. There were so many things that my now husband would complain about or bring to my attention that my exes would too. And the only difference is my husband would address me about it, point it out, and then offer a solution, or just straight up ask me, what are you going to do about it? And he was right. And so just for an example, my husband takes so much care in himself. Like, he wakes up every single day, guys. We've been together for 3 years. Every day, 5 a.m., going to the gym, keeping his skin nice and clear and smooth, keeping his teeth nice and white, always working out. He can feel when he's gaining weight. He can feel when his mood is not right. He'll go and fast for a month and not eat meat, not drink alcohol, not eat dairy, not consume soda. I mean, he's always putting himself on these fast or just health little kicks and these diets, just always making sure internally he feels good about himself. As women, especially once we have kids, I think we don't really prioritize it as much, and we just always say like, oh, my husband has to accept me for who I am, embrace these curves, embrace these stretch marks. And it's like, sis, sometimes you really, especially while you're single, whatever you don't like about yourself, fix it, find a solution, deal with it. Don't just accept it and then force someone that you love to accept it because you do. Because in reality, do you actually accept it? Or are you just okay with the fact that you don't want to work hard to remove it, to get rid of it, to enhance it, right? To work on it, to figure it out. And this could be anything. Your skin, your hair, your weight, your accent, your anger issues. I don't know, anything. Whatever you are insecure about, best believe the person you are sleeping with, the person you are spending majority of your time, they can see that. So you Absolutely, while you are single, while you don't have any obligations, while you're not in a position for someone who has already committed to loving you, don't give them a hard time. Don't make it harder for them to love you. If you don't accept it, why are you expecting someone else to? So get in the gym, go to the dermatologist. Guys, I got braces, 6 months before my wedding? I got braces, and I already had braces. But I was really insecure about how my teeth shifted. I went and got it fixed. On my wedding day, guys, when you look at my content, I'm just smiling. Loved my smile, loved my teeth again, and it really helped my self-esteem and my confidence. Whatever I'm unhappy about, I figured it out. I've spent thousands of dollars in laser hair removal. I love myself blonde with highlights. I don't like myself with black hair. So I'm not gonna wear black hair and just force my husband to just like me for I am. When I had my baby, my hair was falling out. I had to figure that out quick. I didn't feel good. When I gained some weight, I had to figure that out for me. I had to make sure I felt confident in my own skin when I looked in the mirror for myself. I didn't just expect my husband to just take me as I am because he's my husband. Okay, so if I could go back, I would have started laser hair removal a lot earlier. I would have got braces a lot sooner. I would have went blonde a lot sooner. Like, it's just different things that I would have did to make myself feel more confident, feel more beautiful. There's certain insecurities that I would have figured out a lot sooner. Pretty much. Last thing, I would have taken more risks. If I could go back, just so you guys know, I've never experienced living on my own, living in an apartment. You guys know I didn't go to school on campus. I've never, lived in a different city. If I could do it all over again, I would have loved to live in Miami or get my own apartment, have a roommate. I did have a Mustang, and it was a drop top all white. And that's one of my risk-taking times. Loved my Mustang, but for a lot of women, being single, this is your time to go move to Houston, go move to Dallas, go move to Miami, go move to DC, go and thug it out in New York. Go back to school, try a different career, explore different religions. Maybe you're not even Christian anymore, sis. Maybe you're Muslim and your husband is Muslim. I don't know. I'm just saying. And as a Christian, I know I'm not even supposed to say stuff like that, but it's the truth. Go find yourself, right? Go take risks, go explore, go do something and change your mind, just so you have stories to talk about. You have experience, you have depth to you, right? Risk takers have great conversations. They have great life lessons. They have so much wisdom because they actually did it. Don't be the girl that's never done anything, just cookie cutter, you've never gone through anything in life, and then you meet your husband and he's just done a million things. He's a part of a fraternity. He done switched colleges. He started off with this career, ended up with this career. He's an entrepreneur, and you're just like little stable, safe Sally. Boring. Okay, so that's my list, guys. If I could do it all over again, that list is what I would do differently. A few regrets, but I'm very proud of who I am. I'm proud of my life, but I feel like there's not enough wives and mothers having these real conversations. If I could do it all over again, that's how I would have spent my single season. That's what I would have been doing in my early 20s before I met my husband. And just to make you feel better, get married, have a baby, you lose your independence, your freedom, and your time. So now that you know that you have it, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do today? Right? Launch it, plan it, go back to school, lose some weight, get surgery, start a new career, travel the world, move abroad. I don't know. But you have the time and the freedom to do it. So go figure it out. Go work on you. Go create stories that you can one day share with your husband. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you soon.